Chairman Levin, and I said, Mr. Chairman, I can get leadership from the president on this. Need leadership from the military. Can you hold a hearing? And he said yes. And he didn't hesitate. He really believed in the repeal of this policy. And we decided, let's do a hearing. And we didn't know what we would get from the hearing. I started meeting with military leaders over the next few months to find out, who would the right witnesses be, who would be able to testify to repeal the policy. And at the end of the day, the testimony that we heard from Admiral Mullen and Secretary Gates was so powerful, there leaves no room for any Democrat to vote against, for not voting in favor of a full repeal. Because what Admiral Mullen said was exactly what Lieutenant Choi said. He said it's about integrity. It's about integrity of our armed services. It's about the integrity of the men and women who are serving. He said, I cannot accept the fact that we ask these men and women to die for us, but we will not accept who they are, and that we ask them to lie, contrary to everything that we teach our men and women serving. And, he went on to say that he believed it was a wrong policy, and that he believed that the men and women in the armed services could, of course, accommodate this policy change, that they're strong enough and smart enough and capable enough to fully comprehend why this policy needs to be changed. And so, I was sitting in the room during his testimony, and I nearly cried because I couldn't believe how powerful and how helpful his testimony was. I never imagined when I asked for the hearing that we would get the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff to say what he said. But now I feel like I have all the power in the world to go back to these senators and say, what's your excuse now? Because not only did the president put it in his State of the Union address, but we have testimony from the top-ranking military officer in the military today saying this policy must be repealed and undermines the integrity of the whole armed services. So I'm very optimistic, and I talked to Chairman Levin today, again, about what he thought the best strategy was, and he thinks if we can put it in the underlying bill, in the authorizing legislation, to put a moratorium on the policy for the next 18 months would be the best approach. And so I'm going to start writing a letter to get signatures of my colleagues to really begin to develop the votes that I need to show we can repeal this policy.